Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Would you like to go with me to Bryan, Texas?
What's in Bryan, Texas?
The Imperial Chinese and Sushi restaurant. Chuck Norris ate there on April Fool's Day, and apparently he was a regular customer there before he got famous. And they sometimes come to this Chinese restaurant. And so what I want to do is go to Bryan, Texas and do a stakeout until the Norrises show up. And then once the Norrises show up, then we can come back. Who knows? It might happen tomorrow. It might happen in the next few minutes. It might happen in 10 years. So, but we're going to have to stay there at that restaurant. And we're going to be living on Chinese food every day. And what I think we need to do.
I'm living on Chinese food.
Greetings, citizens of Earth. Welcome to Accelerativ Thrust. I am Dan.
Oh, and I'm Eric. Sorry, I was just kind of zoning out there for a second.
Oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great episode.
Yeah, this is fantastic. You know, I don't really have anything else to add at the moment. Do you, what's been going on in your life, Eric? You got any plans to stalk any of your heroes? You were stalking me over the weekend.
That's true. Yeah. It was funny. I was driving into town, and the first thing I said when I saw your vehicle was, "Hey, there's my sticker." And then I said, "That's got to be Dan." Because no one else has an Accelerativ Thrust sticker on their car.
Yeah.
I don't know where they all went. I think just in the trash, but I've never seen one on a car.
I have a big stack of Accelerativ Thrust stickers in my van.
In the van?
In the van, yes.
Here, in my van. It was funny because Sarah was reading a book on the way down, and so I just wanted to listen to music, and I decided to listen to Faith No More. So it was funny when I was pulling into Muscatine, listening to Faith No More, that I would see your car.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So I don't know if that video that she sent you.
Yep.
Faith No More's in the background. So
I heard the music.
Yeah.
Speaking of things we've been listening to, we got a record to talk about, don't we?
Yeah.
Come
on, everybody! It's record time.
This is a really, really interesting, fun, and strange experiment, I think.
Yeah.
That came out this year, which I know very little about, which I think is kind of it's a thing that appeals to me about it, actually. So the name of the project is called Steröid, but the O has like a couple of dots on top. Isn't that called like an umlaut or something?
Yeah, it's a Hanson song. Umlaut.
It's a Hanson song, yes.
Yeah.
So the name of this album is Chainmail Commandos. And so this is the brainchild of Lord Gordith, who is also part of a couple of, one very dungeon synth project, and the other one is a dungeon synth adjacent project. Questmaster, which is obviously the dungeon synth project with a name like that. And then another project called Gloomy Reflections. Not sure what his deal is. And I mean, I think Questmaster might be like another solo project of his. And honestly, I don't know if this is a full band or if this is a solo project. Kind of, it's presented like a solo project to me, but I don't know that for sure. In any case, the only information that I've been able to find is that Lord Gordith is the mastermind behind this, and that they're from Australia, or he is from Australia, or Steröid is from Australia.
Yeah.
So this is one of the strangest things I've ever heard, honestly. And it's not strange in the sense of like, it's not really weird music, but its delivery is, I don't know, I think there's a little tongue-in-cheekness going on here, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they really love their influences. I don't think they're making fun.
I don't think so at all. I think that anybody who is making music like this has to be familiar with the influences. Otherwise, I don't think they would make it. And then the other side of that is I think anybody who's making music like this has to have at least a little bit of a sense of humor.
For sure.
Particularly with the lyrics. I mean, the very first line on the entire record is "Got my machine gun."
Nice.
And so at first, the sound of it is really kind of, production-wise to me, very egg punk sort of influenced, like we've talked about. Like, so it kind of has like that psych garage sort of aesthetic to it sound-wise, I think, or at least the production of it is that way. But then when you start actually listening to the songs reveal a completely different type of aesthetic, which is heavily, undeniably a wave of British heavy metal.
100%.
To me, this is like if Mad Max was 4 people and it was a band, a metal band.
I can see that.
There's like a total feel to it, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, a total feel to it that is, it sounds very 80s action movie, which anybody who has heard me talk knows that I'm really into that. So when I first heard this, I heard this like randomly from a recommendation off Spotify of another group that I was listening to. I don't even remember what it was. And I was just like, this is awesome. Yeah. So then I immediately went and checked out the entire record. So what I mean by it's bizarre and kind of strange, and there's almost like a slight outsider element to it, is that the vocals are pitch shifted throughout the entire thing.
Is that true?
It sounds kind of like it to me. Here's one reason why I think that I think it's pitch shifted vocals. I looked all over YouTube for something, right? And I came across a show it was like Steröid's first show. And it was a metal band, and they had a sound kind of like Steröid, but it was like, it didn't have that high pitched vocal.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So but it's like, I don't know if it's the same Steröid, but I assume it is, because it was like on a mix that was like Australian punk or something.
Sure. I'm sure it probably was. Yeah.
It probably was the same thing. So
we usually make a joke like, hey, Steröid, if you're listening, let us know.
This is my full description of this record. Number one, fun as hell. I had a blast listening to the whole thing. There's like songs about like overcoming an enemy or something. There's songs about like Rock Your Own Way as like, honestly, could be like an 80s or just there's no reason why that song shouldn't be like the newest headbanging hit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why that couldn't be on the radio. So new wave of British heavy metal meets egg punk with pitch shifted vocals. Again, I guess it's kind of up in the air if it's actually pitch shifted. Sounds like it to me. And also, if Ween, 100 Gex, or Hyperpop made a power metal record, and Mad Max, like, it reminded me of all these things. Plus, in the recommended if you like, so of course I put Priest and Maiden, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounded like Power Slave, honestly, like a lot of these riffs. Also, J Retard. I would say a little bit of mindless self-indulgence kind of going on here.
Wow.
And then the band Cherry Cheeks that we
Sure, I can hear Cherry Cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I agree with everything you said, but I got a kind of a different vibe. Kind of.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I can't get that different of a vibe because this is pretty straightforward. But for me, it was like super shimmery, glam, new wave of British heavy metal with like kind of almost like psych vocals. Like psych, like the Australian psych, you know, with all the delay and stuff. But really, the thing that came through the most, and of course there is the new wave of British heavy metal element to it, because the solos are usually a dual lead, like Maiden or whatever.
Right.
The bass stacks itself on the guitars and is playing like just as melodically interesting parts as the guitar. So that reminded me a lot of Steve Harris, you know.
Sure.
The drums are really kind of super straightforward. Like it's like a tank. Like it just keeps driving everything forward and there's no stopping it. But yeah, the rhythm guitars to me is where it really had this other element to it. And for me, that element is this very kind of tiny window of time where new wave of British heavy metal was reinterpreted on the Sunset Strip, right? But it hadn't turned into boogie woogie yet. So what I mean is, like, if you listen to Too Fast for Love, there's not a lot of like that Your Mama Don't Dance feel to it.
No,
you know?
not at all.
Or Faster Pussycat. Like there was a lot of that boogie woogie stuff going on, you know.
Right.
And that's what I got from it, was a ton of like Motley Crue.
Sure.
Pretty Boy Floyd is another band from that time period. Grim Reaper in a way, maybe not vocally. Fastway, the ones that did the Trick or Treat soundtrack, and I always make fun of them because the singer went on to be the singer of Flogging Molly, and I just think it's really funny.
Are you serious?
Yeah, to go from a glam band to like an Irish kind of folky band, and like
I never knew about that.
It really feels to me like, I don't know, the way I put it was slinky anthems to party to.
Sure.
But then I said, like, the kind of party where there's going to be a fight.
Sure.
It's not a question of if there's going to be a fight. And I don't know. I also felt like it had the energy of pop punk, at least the way the vocals were delivered.
Yes. When I first heard Rock Your Own Way, that's essentially what I thought it was I was like, this sounds like really interesting sort of pop punk that I haven't heard done this way, right?
Yeah. My real description, if I had to do like a 1 second review, it is the sound of a switchblade opening and the chrome reflecting the lights of the city.
Yeah, that's a great description.
That's how it feels to me. It's so shimmery and glammy and
it really is.
and really cool and really, really well done. They're not just making fun.
Another question that I wanted to ask, I actually could not tell sometimes, speaking of the drums, because you were talking about how the drums are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I could not tell at times if I was listening to a real live drummer or if I was listening to a drum machine.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily pick up on anything making me think it was a drum machine. But like I said, they are so straightforward and rigid. And that's a choice either way. That's how they wanted the drums to be. Kind of like Jay Retard, you know, like that kind of feel on the drums. And I think a lot of his stuff has drum machines. So it has that feel, but I'm not sure exactly. One of the other groups that I wanted to mention, this is so weird, but it really reminded me of Glass Ox from Des Moines.
Sure.
Like the music itself. Like when we reviewed Glass Ox, I talked about that shimmery sort of guitar tone. It's really a choppy guitar tone, which is strange. Like, I mean, listen to Live Wire. You know, it's just, you know, it's like really tight, super tight. And so I loved it. It made me think about music that I hadn't really thought about in a while, you know?
Absolutely.
And, you know, there are other elements of new wave of British heavy metal, though. I would say like Saxon and Motorhead, and, you know, there's that stuff in there too. So I think they're really well informed about what they're doing.
There's even I would say a little bit of the of like Venom and stuff like that as well. Like
could be, yeah, I can see it.
Like there's a little bit of a, it seems like maybe a black metal influence, which if Lord Gordith is, I'm not sure if there's like a black metal scene at all in Australia. I'm sure there is, but like it does seem like he's definitely involved in like at least dungeon synth, you know?
Sure. Yeah, and the aesthetic of this release follows that sort of dungeon synth or Keller synth style to a T. The cover is phenomenal. It's like this bright chartreuse and a black and white drawing of some kind of warrior, and he's riding on top of a tank, and he has a Morning Star weapon and maybe a battle axe, and they're pulling away from Castle Grayskull, and it's on fire. There's maybe 4 tanks behind him, so it's kind of an army, I guess. And then there's a dragon up in the corner in the sky, and it looks like he is about to eat the warrior. Okay, all this sounds really like fantasy standard metal, but the drawing is hilarious.
It is great.
Super goofy.
So like this is what I was thinking, that with the whole pitch shifted thing, is I was thinking that character that's holding the ball and chain, I was thinking that was like what this character singing is supposed to be. Like that's the character, like because it almost sounds like there's almost like a childlike quality to this thing too, like where they're singing about like action movie stuff. You know what I mean? There's all these things that you wanted to be when you were like, especially in the 80s, like if you were like a male growing up, you know, in like the 80s or something, and you saw like these action movies, like you fantasized about like, you know, one day I'm going to be like, you know, swimming across the ocean, you know, with like a machine gun, and I'm going to take down 5 choppers on my own or something.
But also dragons.
Yeah, exactly. Dragons.
Like it's one of those futuristic space movies about the Middle Ages. I know that sounds stupid, but like Kroll and Beastmaster, right? Those are both futuristic and medieval movies.
Yeah, and so I don't know. The way I interpret it is like this is almost like that scenario, that dream scenario that you had as a child of the 80s when you watch these movies, and it's from the perspective of like a child who's having these dreams, and so it's almost like presented that way. I'm probably
I like it.
Probably putting way too much thought into it.
No, I just realized how cute this little character really is.
Yeah, it's just
real
like
little cute guy. I don't know what else to say. Super fun. And it's on Bandcamp. It might be on Spotify. I'm not sure. It is. But anyway, Steröid with an umlaut over the O. I don't know if you can actually type that in. Anyway, check it out. It's super amazing. Steröid.
Super dope.
you been listening to this week, though?
Well, this week, there's a band called Chat Pile.
Yeah.
And they recently did a Amoeba What's in My Bag.
Oh, cool.
So I checked out their latest record, and it's pretty damn good. I kind of feel like I've sort of been missing out on this band. The album is called Cool World, and very noise rock influence, right? But on their What's in My Bag, they mentioned a couple of bands that one of them is a band I've heard many times before, and the other one is a band that I've heard about referenced on this show by you a lot, Eric, but I just never really gave them a chance. And so Scratch Acid is one of them, which is d.i.y, and I own a Scratch Acid CD, but the way that they kind of described Scratch Acid, they kind of said that they believe that Scratch Acid was kind of like they were making the music that they make, but in the 80s, right? And so I went back and re-listened to some Scratch Acid, and I couldn't agree with them more. But then they mentioned that Scratch Acid, they feel, was making the music that the Birthday Party was first making.
Oh, sure. Yep. I agree with that.
I went back and listened to the first Birthday Party album, and then Prayers on Fire, and I've been listening to them quite a bit this week. And then another band that I think is maybe kind of like the modern day, besides Chat Pile, that could maybe be kind of like a modern day version of what all these bands were doing, is the Viagra Boys, who we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
They just put out a new record called, it's like VIAG, and then like Raw Boys. Like, so it's like, broken up into two different words. That
weird.
Anyway, it's really good. Like, nice. And so I think that that's kind of the Birthday Party. I think that they're kind of continuing in that trajectory as well, but in a different way.
I can see that. Nice.
Yep.
Let's see. I've been listening to, I got a real Keith Moon Jones going. So I've been listening to Sings My Generation mostly by The Who, but some other Who stuff too. I've been listening to an artist called Kavari, Kavari, and it is really interesting stuff. Really hard to swallow. I don't know how to put it. It's ambient, sort of. It's super dark. There's a lot of noise, but there's a lot of field recording type stuff. The album I've been listening to the most is called Against the Wood, Opposed to Flesh. And it is a little murdery for me. Sometimes when you get into harsh noise and stuff like that, you get into the just like edgelord kind of stuff, And so there's a lot of like 911 calls and a lot of just murder, which I don't get that into anymore, but it's really scary, scary stuff. But yeah, Kavari, I think they have a lot of records out and they're really cool. And if you want to get into dark ambient, it's a pretty good way to do it. But honestly, what I've been listening to the most is a collection of Chopin pieces called Complete Nocturnes. It's played by Tzvierez, Tzvierez. And the only reason I'm saying the person that is playing is because I think personally this is the best collection of the kind of Chopin that I like. It's just piano, and it's mostly like the nocturnes, so it has a little bit of more of a lilting element to it, a little more melancholy, and I just think it's great. Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot.
I have to make a confession. I had no idea that it was pronounced Chopin.
You just said chopping? In
my mind, yes.
Start chopping?
And I never talk about classical music.
Yeah.
I've been rewatching Futurama in addition to Walker, Texas Ranger. And I kind of lost Futurama after about the second season. Just never really watched it, and that by most accounts is exactly when it starts to get really good.
Yeah.
So since I got Hulu for Walker, I'm like, well, shit, I might as well just watch Futurama too, because the whole series is on here. So I'm on season 2, and I completely forgot how hilarious those seasons are. So
it's
I'm like,
so smart.
If those seasons are great, then I guess I can't wait to see what I've been missing out on.
I don't think it ever got not good. Like, I think it progressively got better and better. And maybe I haven't seen the latest couple of seasons, like where it came out on different channels and stuff. But up through at least the movies that they made, I think it's phenomenal. It's so funny and smart, but it's one of those shows that rewards you for being smart. Like, the comedy is based on you having sort of a breadth of knowledge that includes things from, really high cultural things to really just the lowest class stupid things. Like, you're rewarded for having, an understanding of many different things and different subcultures and ideas. And I think it's really smart in that way.
Yep. So I believe that The Simpsons were one of the smartest. It was one of the smartest shows that was on TV up until probably about early 2000s. And then, I don't know, when the movie came out and all this stuff, that's when I feel like it just never got back to like
movies will kill shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember the X-Files movie?
I don't remember.
Nothing came out after that.
I watched it. There was that Lone Gunman series.
Yeah,
spinoff series.
I mean, the show continued, but I think once you give the audience a movie, they're like, well, that's all I need, I guess.
Yeah. What else could you do with it?
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
Well, anyways,
I think
we'll never make a movie. We're never going to make an accelerative thrust movie.
If we did, what do you think it would be about?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I think it'd be about 90s nostalgia, different medical issues, and food. That's what
I don't think so. I think what it would be about is you and me going to Bryan, Texas to look for Chuck Norris.
Well, like a road movie.
It'd be like a road movie.
Yeah.
And you know what we would call it? We would call it the Accelerativ Thrust Road Movie.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah,
I like
really
that.
Just tells you what's happening.
Who do you think would play you?
Oh wait, we're not in the movie? Okay.
No, we'd get people to play.
So, listeners, if you think you know who should play Dan or I in our road movie, go ahead and let us know.
Yes.
By sending us an email.
Yes, and if you also want to recommend a band or recommend somebody who you think we should interview, or if you just want to talk, you just want to say, hey, how you doing, Accelerativ Thrust?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, just mosey on over to that computer and get on the information superhighway or cyberspace, whatever you kids call it these days.
Yeah.
And type in accelerativ.thrust@gmail.com. No E at the end of accelerative, or get on Instagram, or what I like to call it, the old IG.
Yeah, the old IG, Inspector General.
Inspector General.
We gotta go. We gotta go right now.
No. Bye. Bye.
Go, Gadget, go.
Go, Gadget, go. What's been going on in your life?